nation. Guyana Online Academy of Learning. We'd love to give you a start. 20,000 scholarships we're offering, so you can do your part. We provide the platform, all you do is choose. You can use the comfort of your living room. The programs are completely online for you. Let's build a nation. Yeah, Guyana Online Academy of Learning. We've got a nation's future at heart.
FM.
Hello, you're tuned into Kaieteur Radio 99.1, 99.5, and this is your main newscast. I am Kayla King, and these are the stories we're tracking after the break. No gas experts on team that selected Wales for $900 million gas project. ExxonMobil to run all production ships in Guyana above nameplate capacity, says Hess Corporation. Man to pay $100,000 or 12 months for marrying twice. No current plans beyond Lease 1 for gas to shore project, says Vice President Jaggio. Stay tuned to stay informed. Welcome back. Let's get to the news in detail. Vice President Dr. Barry Jaggio confirmed on Monday that the selection of Wales, which spans just over 10,000 acres of land to house the industrial park for the $9 million gas to shore project, was not done by experts. The selection was done by locals who Jaggio firmly believes were competent enough for the job. The official who holds oversight responsibility for the sector made these and other comments during a press conference held last week at the Arthur Chung Convention Center with publishers, editors, and journalists of the local media fraternity. Although 5 studies were done by its predecessor on bringing gas to shore via a pipeline leading from the Liza Phase 1 project, Jaggio said when the PPPC took office, it found that the APNU AFC had made no critical decisions on those documents. Now let's tell you, Stabroek Block operator ExxonMobil Guyana is gearing to run each of 10 planned FPSO vessels above its full capacity, with the second ship to arrive in the second half of this year. The revelation was made on Wednesday by the ExxonMobil Stabroek Block partner Hess Corporation's Chief Operating Officer, Greg Hill, during the company's first quarter earnings call for shareholders. He was at the time speaking to planned activities this year to push the Liza Destiny FPSO beyond its nameplate capacity of 120,000 barrels per day through debottlenecking. Hill told shareholders the exercise can be expected on each of the FPSOs operating in Guyana's exclusive economic zone, and posited, I think you can assume that there would be a debottlenecking potential on all those ships. He explained the debottlenecking exercise to say what typically happens is you'll bring these facilities up to their nameplate and then you'll gather a lot of dynamic data. And you really need that data, so you need fluids running through the facility at full capacity to determine where are my pinch points? Where are my bottlenecks? And what can I do to increase the capacity? Meanwhile, Michael Taylor, 38, the airport ramp attendant, who was found guilty of marrying twice, was yesterday fined $100,000, or in default will spend 12 months in prison for the offense. Taylor of Lot 1 Suesdike, East Bank, Demerara, was charged last year for bigamy, and the case tried in the Georgetown Magistrates Court before Magistrate Rondell Weaver, who handed down the sentencing. Bigamy is the offense of marrying someone while already being married to another, and this is Guyana's first bigamy case. This publication had reported that Taylor's first wife, with whom he shares 2 children, had gotten married in 2015. They had reportedly lived together for 5 years before separating because of his infidelity. In other news, ExxonMobil Guyana is forging ahead with plans to have at least 10 FPSO vessels producing in the Stabroek Block, and as the ruling administration also pursues a gas-to-shore project to capitalize on the available associated gases, but there is no plan beyond using the resource from the first oil field, Liza Phase 1. This, according to the Vice President Bara Jagdeo, who this past Monday led a press engagement at the Arthur Chung Convention Center aimed at putting rest to speculations in the public domain over multi-million project, addressing the stakeholders gathered at the ACC venue. Vice President, when asked about the administration's, we've not contemplated the second project because the numbers of this project as a standalone project are so good. It's a dream set situation. If you're a private investor, somebody would want to invest in a project like this. It is now 12 hours 15. Coming up after the break is buildings over 2 stories should have relevant fire equipment installed, says Home Affairs Ministry. Fashion designer killed in TNT and cremated at Good Hope. Social media commentator arrested for causing emotional distress to minister. GPL unable to pay wage increase, blames failure to predict fuel price and COVID-19. Motorcyclist beaten while apologizing to cops he assaulted. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. Bar Association pledges to support colleagues who suffered losses from Sharon's Mall fire. In wake of the Wednesday night fire which gutted the Sharon's Mall building, the Ministry of Home Affairs yesterday issued a statement highlighting that buildings above 2 stories are expected to have the relevant fire prevention equipment installed. In addition, the Guyana Bar Association has pledged its support to their colleagues who suffered losses and disruptions to their legal practices as a result of the fire. According to reports, the fire completely destroyed the 2 top stories of the mall, which is located at the corner of King and Charlotte Streets, Georgetown, while the lower part of the building was severely damaged. Lachman Singh, the Guyanese fashion designer who was killed in Trinidad and Tobago 2 weeks ago, was cremated yesterday at the Good Hope crematorium on the east coast of Demerara. Kaieteur News had previously reported that given the restrictions in Trinidad as it relates to COVID-19, Samira, the sister of Singh, also known as Marcus Anthony, said that she and the rest of the dead man's grieving family, all of whom reside here in Guyana, were hoping that the government would intervene so that Singh's body can be brought home. A close family friend confirmed with this publication yesterday that it was the owner of Boodoo's funeral home in Trinidad, Richard Boodoo, who made all the necessary arrangements to have Singh's remains brought back home so that his family could pay their final tribute. Now let's tell you, social media commentator Gavin Matthews was arrested yesterday for allegedly making and publishing a video containing derogatory remarks about Minister of Culture, Youth and Sport Charles Ramson Jr. Matthews was arrested during a picketing exercise held at the Square of the Revolution in Georgetown. The social media commentator, who was at the time of his arrest live streaming the protest via his Facebook page, was seen being approached by a group of armed policemen who put the allegation to him. In terms of penalty, the Act states that a summary conviction of the offense carries a fine of $5 million and 3 years imprisonment, and a conviction of indictment carries a fine of $10 million and 5 years imprisonment. Now let's tell you, the Guyana Power and Light Inc. is being met with protest action by workers demanding an across-the-board increase in pay, in addition to hiked performance pay incentives. But the power company is claiming that an inability to meet the increases given the higher than projected fuel price on the world market, as well as the COVID-19 pandemic. As such, GPL is of the view that were it to meet the payments being called for by the workers' representative body, the National Association of Agricultural Impact, on the country's financial position. The utility company gave the disclosure on Wednesday in reaction to the protest action by workers in the past week. A motorcyclist was yesterday beaten and then taken to the hospital while he was publicly apologizing to 2 cops as he had assaulted on Saturday last. The motorcyclist, Georgino Tivriden, according to a police report, was attacked sometime after 9 hours in the vicinity of the Bartica Market, Region 7, by one of the 2 cops he had assaulted. Tivriden, on Saturday, April 24, 2021, had allegedly assaulted Harmon and his colleague Corporal Austin at 4 Miles Bartica. The policemen were on traffic duty at the time and had stopped Tivriden around 21:15 hours because he was riding without a helmet. It is now 12 hours 20. Coming up next is your COVID-19 update. According to Worldometer, the coronavirus cases worldwide are now at 151.5 million, whereas deaths are at 3.1 million, and in the case of recoveries, 128.8 million. Locally, the Ministry of Health yesterday reported that 2 persons who tested positive for the novel coronavirus have died. Their deaths now bring Guyana's COVID-19 death toll to 295. The latest fatalities are 2 women, a 63-year-old and a 59-year-old, both from Region 3. According to the ministry's press release, both persons died on Wednesday while receiving treatment at a medical facility. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Health also recorded 143 new COVID-19 cases, taking the total number of confirmed cases to 13,106. The dashboard shows that 16 patients are in the COVID-19 intensive care unit, 88 persons are in the institutional isolation, 1,597 in home isolation, and 8 persons are in institutional quarantine. To date, 11,110 recoveries have been recorded. That just about brings us to the end of your news at noon. I'm Kayla King. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-8465 or 226-8210 today.
Coming up next is a short commentary from the publisher of Kaieteur News, Dr. Glenn Lau.